Hi, so around 2 weeks ago, I, 27F, broke up with my boyfriend, 28M, of 1 year and my sister, 24F, started dating him. I'll address them as Leo and Rachel. I've pretty much raised my sister on my own ever since our parents passed away when I was 16 and she had just turned 13. They'd been driving back from a party kind of late at night and a truck plowed into them and that was it. We moved in with our aunt after that and she did try to look after us, but she was more busy with work so it was just me and Rachel and I became really protective of her. After I started working at around 18, Rachel moved out and started living with me so she could finish her degree. For the past 3 years, ever since she graduated, both of us have been working and we've been living separately since her workplace is quite far away from where I live. I never went to college because I really wanted to start earning because I did not want to be a burden on my aunt, even though she had never made us feel that way, but I wanted to do something for myself and be independent. For a couple of years, after I became an adult, I worked numerous jobs, and 2 years back, I finally started my own business with a few of my friends from school. We run a clothing line and I would say that we are moderately successful at the moment, but we want to get bigger. Rachel went to college and got a degree in economics and then went on to work as an accountant. I met Leo through my friends and he works in advertising, so all of us had a kind of similar financial situation. All three of us were doing well enough in our lives, but about 3 months ago, Leo started spending money like nobody's business. He started giving me expensive gifts, all stuff from high-end or luxury brands, and he was also buying these kinds of things for himself as well, and I was really confused because if he was in a similar financial situation as me, then there was no way he would be able to afford all of this. I asked him what was going on several times, but he just told me that he had been promoted and that's why he could afford it. But I did not believe it because even with a promotion, I did not think it would be feasible for him to suddenly act like he was the richest man on earth. My suspicions only got stronger when he bought a new car and within a couple of weeks, he purchased a vacation home on the beach as well. I knew for a fact that none of it had come for cheap and I told him to his face that I did not believe the fact that he had received emotion all of a sudden and that's why he was able to buy all of this. I asked him to tell me the truth because if he was involved in anything shady, I did not want to be a part of it. He tried to convince me that he was telling me the truth, that he genuinely had received a promotion, but I still find it difficult to believe, so I decided to contact his coworkers around 2 weeks back and ask them what was going on. Leo and I had been together for just 1 year, so I wasn't exactly close to his coworkers and they were really surprised when I reached out to them. But when I asked them about Leo, and whether he had received any promotion of any sort, they were truthful and told me that he had not indeed received any promotion and in fact, he had been taking his work way more lightly than he had been in the past. That made me very suspicious and I knew instantly that something was going wrong. So after I called his coworkers, I called him up and I invited him to my house so I could speak to him. And I guess his coworkers had told him that I had called some of them up and as soon as he showed up at my house, he started fighting with me, saying that it was not my place to speak to his coworkers and try to embarrass him. He said that I was being paranoid and tried to gaslight me into believing that I was overthinking this. But I knew that deep down, something had definitely gone wrong here and I told him that I could not be with him anymore because obviously, he had been lying to me. The money that he had been spending had definitely not come from a promotion and the only other alternative I could think of was him being involved in something shady, and I did not want to be part of that. We broke up and he was pretty upset with me because I had contacted his coworkers and he thought it was going too far. But I just wanted to confirm my doubts since I did not want to be in a relationship with someone who was doing anything illegal, so I don't think that I did anything wrong. Anyway, the day that we broke up, I was really depressed, so I did not tell anyone about it, and I thought that I would contact Rachel later on and inform her. But the next day, when I woke up, I had a bunch of texts from Rachel and she had told me that after we broke up, Leo had reached out to her and asked her to accompany her on a trip to the vacation home that he had purchased and he wanted to gift it to her because he wanted her to know exactly how serious he was about her. Apparently, he had confessed that breaking up with me had just made him realize that he had kind of fallen for Rachel and even while I was dumping him, the only thing that he could think about was whether she would be willing to see him again or not. He did not want to risk losing her, so he contacted her immediately afterward, and long story short, they were now together. Rachel confessed that she had also always had a bit of a thing for Leo, but never made a move because he was my boyfriend and she did not want to be a home wrecker. But now, since we were over, she thought that it would be fine for her to get together with him. In all the texts that she had sent me, there was no mention of the reason why we had broken up, so I knew for a fact that Leo had not told her that we had broken things off because I had figured out that he was involved in shady stuff. I immediately called Rachel up because even though I was kind of annoyed that she had chosen to get together with my ex-boyfriend just 1 day after we had broken up, I still felt like it was my duty to warn her about the kind of guy that he was since she was my sister. She picked up the call and as soon as I started explaining why Leo and I had broken up, she told me that she just did not want to hear it. Apparently, Leo had taught her well, and she had been brainwashed into believing that I was going to try and break them up because I was jealous. But Leo had told her not to believe anything I was going to tell her because it was something that I was trying to do since I wanted him back. So she cut me off before I could even get into why we had broken up and I tried to explain it to her several times on that phone call but she just kept cutting me off. Initially, both of us were trying to be polite to each other, but eventually, she just snapped. She started screaming at me and said that she could understand that I was upset that her ex and her sister were now together, and it had only been a day since my breakup, but they liked each other and they were not going to let me get in the way of it anymore since she had won the lottery and I was just jealous. And I lost my temper at that point as well, and I told her that she was acting like a sellout, just because Leo was willing to give her the vacation home that he had purchased as a gift. I told her that she would face the consequences of this herself and that I was done trying to help her. Then I hung up and blocked both of them everywhere, but even after I blocked her, she sent me a couple of photos from the vacation home a few days afterward and even went to the extent of creating a fake account for this purpose. I was very upset because ever since our parents had passed away, Rachel and I were all that we had. And now, she had passed me over for a vacation home and a relationship with my ex. It was just disheartening and I was so upset about it that I didn't even go to work for a couple of days that week. Anyway, eventually, I did recover and I resumed my normal life. I tried not to think about them too much because it would only hurt me and tried to move on from all of this. And then, yesterday, Rachel finally came to her senses, I guess, and came to me. I had blocked her, so she had to use her friend's phone to call me up and ask me if I would be willing to see her. I told her that I was not interested since she had made her choice, but she was weeping on the phone so hard that I had to tell her that she could come see me, just to get the conversation over with. 2 weeks have passed since my breakup and I thought this was pretty quick for her to figure out as reality, but yesterday, when I came back home from work, she was waiting at my door with tears in her eyes and she started sobbing as soon as she saw me. She told me that apparently, Leo had been involved in some sort of fraud because he had falsified certain documents after his rich uncle passed away and had made it seem like his uncle had left everything to him in his will. And he had been about to get away with it since his uncle did not really have any family and he had passed very suddenly from a heart attack, so there was nobody to contest the will or challenge the validity of it. But one of his cousins had been able to find the real document and in it, it stated that his uncle had wanted to leave all his assets divided equally among his nephews and nieces. So Leo had been caught in his lies and now, he was being investigated for fraud. And since just a couple of days ago, he had transferred the vacation home property to Rachel, she was being investigated by extension as well. She said that she was really afraid of going to jail and she needed my help, even though I'm not sure what exactly I could help her with. So she explained to me that when the time came, I just had to testify for her in court and say that she had no idea about the means through which Leo had attained all of these things. This was the bare minimum that I could do for her and she wanted me to promise her that I would help her and obviously I was going to, but in the moment, I just felt like she was taking me for granted, so I said that I would have to think about it because she had behaved very horribly with me. She was shocked to hear me say that and told me that I was being petty because there was a very real risk of her going to jail here and I shouldn't be playing right now. So I told her that I was serious and that's when she started freaking out on me, saying that it was my fault anyway that she was involved in any of this because if I had just told her the truth about Leo, then she wouldn't have started dating him anyway. So now, I apparently owed it to her to help her out and I couldn't back out. I got really pissed off because I did not owe her anything, and I told her as much and we started fighting. She told me that she was going to tell the cops that I had been with him up until 2 weeks ago and she knew for a fact that he had given me a lot of expensive gifts, so she was going to get me in trouble if I did not help her out. But I told her that I had gathered all those gifts and returned them to him just 1 week back and he had taken it all back very happily, so I was in the clear. Anyway, we argued for a bit and then she just stomped her foot and called me a bunch of names before leaving. I thought that the way I behaved was pretty reasonable. But then I spoke to a couple of my friends and told them about this and they said that I should keep everything aside and tell her that I'm going to testify for her, even if I decide to cut her off after that. Because this is a really serious situation that she's involved in and of course, she doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm still trying to get back at her. I don't feel like I should be obliged to tell her that I'm gonna help her out, but I feel like my friends also have a point since fraud is a pretty huge deal and I guess I do have to keep certain personal grudges aside for the time being. But also, I feel like she's been taking me for granted, and I didn't like the fact that she started blaming me for the situation she was in, because I had tried to explain it to her several times, but she just kept cutting me off on the phone call and kept saying that I was jealous. I feel very confused. So Ida for telling my sister that I'm gonna think about it when she asked me if I was going to testify in court in her favor? Update 1. Hi. So people in the comments had a lot of mixed opinions on my original post and I'm gonna have to say, it really confused me a lot as well. I had no idea what to do or what to say to her until today, just decided that I was not going to say anything. If she reaches out to me again to ask me if I'm going to testify for her or not, I'm gonna say yes, but until then, I don't think I need to reach out to her and talk to her. After all, she did not speak to me for the past 2 weeks until she was in trouble, so you know. I want her to stay out of jail, more for the sake of our family reputation rather than for herself. I have spoken to my aunt as well, and I have explained the entire situation to her and she told me that she was going to reach out to Rachel and put her in touch with a good lawyer. I'm guessing she already has one, but nevertheless, I'm pretty sure that some help is not going to hurt. So I know for a fact that her situation is going to be taken care of, but emotionally, I'm going to distance myself from her. The past 2 weeks were really hurtful for me and I don't think I will ever be able to forget that and just move on. If she was in my place, I'm pretty certain that she wouldn't have been able to do that either. So anyway, I've decided that if she contacts me again, I'm gonna agree to help her out, but like my friend said, I'm gonna cut her out of my life after that. It is going to be painful, I know that for a fact. It's going to be really very difficult for me because my entire life, I've taken pride in being a good big sister to my baby sister. But she's not really a baby anymore, she can make her own decisions and she made all the wrong ones. I can't, in good conscience, allow myself to have the same kind of relationship with her that we used to. So, thank you so much for all the comments and support that you guys have shown me. The opinions were mixed, there was a lot of advice, and I know some people will be disappointed with the decisions that I have made, but my mind is made up now. It's been 5 days since I last spoke to Rachel and after that, she has not reached out to me. Some of you had even been asking about Leo and whether he had contacted me after our breakup and thankfully, no, he hadn't. But for him, I don't feel bad at all, he totally deserves this. Update 2, so it's been around 8 days since Rachel visited me and 2 days back, she visited my aunt. A lot of people in the comments have been claiming that my aunt was not a good parental figure for us since I had to raise and be there for my sister on my own and I didn't even get to go to college, but I would just like to come to my aunt's defense right now. Like I had said in my original post, my aunt was really busy with her work back when we moved in with her and she had only done the bare minimum for us, but that was a huge deal. Our grandparents live out of state and in order to move in with them, we both have to uproot our entire lives. The only person who lived here and was willing to take us in was our aunt, but she was also really focused on her career, and there was nothing wrong with that. So yeah, maybe she wasn't an ideal parent, but that's because she was not our parent in the literal sense of the word. But she took care of us when nobody else was able to, so we obviously keep in touch with her, and we like her, contrary to what most people in the comments believe. Anyway, my aunt had reached out to Rachel the day that I had explained the situation to her, and she had offered to help her out by putting her in touch with a good lawyer. Rachel did not respond to her message for a couple of days until she visited her 2 days ago and she had a lot to say about me since she was pretty much still blaming me for the situation that she was caught up in right now. My aunt tried to distract her from that several times and even tried to explain to her that this was not my fault, since I had called her up and tried to expose Leo several times, but she was the one who was not ready to hear it. But Rachel was really convinced that this was my fault and even said that if she had not been ready to hear me out back then I should have put it in a text and sent it to her instead of blocking her. She had been claiming that I did all of this on purpose because I was mad at her for getting together with Leo and I wanted her to get in trouble. It's just so ridiculous and I was really pissed off when my aunt told me all of this. Rachel was seriously obsessed with blaming this entire situation on me and I thought it was really unfair, especially when she wasn't even supposed to be there to talk to my aunt about me, she was there to talk about a lawyer and fix the problem that she was in. If she really wanted somebody to blame, she should look within herself, and also the guy she was supposedly so into. So after my aunt told me the kind of conversation that she had with Rachel, I started feeling very dicey about my decision to help her out in case it came down to me. I'm still on the fence about whether I want to testify for her or not. Anyway, my aunt has told me that she has put Rachel in touch with one of her friends who is a pretty accomplished attorney and she's in good hands. I guess that way, I don't really have to feel much guilt about not wanting to stand up for her. And it's not just this particular incident, to be honest. I've been hearing from a bunch of people that Rachel has been putting up a lot of posts on social media that are really shady towards me since I don't think she would be trying to throw shade at anyone else by posting about how manipulative and cruel abusive sisters or family members can be. And seriously, does she really think that I have been abusive to her? I literally cannot think of a single incident in the past that would justify this kind of outlook towards me. A bunch of people from our family have even contacted me to ask me what's going on between me and Rachel and I have maintained my dignity. I have not told them anything apart from the fact that we have been having issues. But I'm pretty sure that if it comes down to her, and if people start asking her, she's not going to keep her mouth shut and is going to try and make me look like the villain. It really bothers me that she's behaving this way, over something that is not even my fault. After my conversation with my aunt, I'm pretty sure that she was even trying to get my aunt to choose between us, but she was clever about it. My aunt is not easily swayed and she was also very disturbed with the way Rachel had been acting when she visited her. All she's doing right now is alienating the people that were actually there for her, nothing else. It's not going to take a lot for her to just admit that she had been wrong about everything, mostly about Leo. She could have just apologized and made life easier for everyone, including herself, but I guess she's too proud of herself. It just sucks to think that I gave up so much of my life and fun for her sake since I wanted to become successful so I could be able to support my sister. I don't think she even remembers that because if she did, she would be grateful. But it's not like I can force people to show gratitude for everything that I have done. It just has to be something that comes from within. And if it doesn't, that just speaks volumes about the kind of person that she has turned into, and I'm glad that I don't have to be part of her life anymore. Update 3, I had really not expected Rachel to contact me again after everything that she said about me to my aunt. I mean clearly, she blames me for this entire fiasco, and she's not going to go back on her word. I heard from my aunt that the procedure has already started and she's probably going to get summoned by court in a couple of weeks. So far, it's just Leo, who is involved and all has to do is prove that she had nothing to do with any of this. And that means that in a couple of weeks, she might need my help. I'm guessing that's why she came to visit me again today, and this time, she was much nicer than the last time. She brought flowers and chocolates and an apology note, and when I opened the door, she instantly told me that she had not been thinking straight back then and had said a lot of things that she did not really mean. But she was in a very bad space mentally, which is why she had been acting out like that, and she wanted me to forgive her. She told me that she could totally understand why I wanted to take my own time to come to a decision about whether I wanted to testify for her or not, because obviously, what she had done to me was not right and it was completely justified for me to be upset with her. But now, she really needed my help and she was counting on everyone to bail her out of this problem. She handed me all the chocolates and stuff that she had bought for me, but I refused and gave it right back to her. I told her that the only reason that she was here was because she needed my help, not because she was genuinely sorry from the bottom of her heart. I also mentioned that I had spoken to our aunt and she had told me everything about what she had said when she visited her, so I knew that she really held me responsible for what was going on with her. And I did not need her apology anymore. I was quite fine staying out of her life indefinitely. I knew that she did not mean what she was saying, but that applied to right now as well, since I knew that she did not mean her apology and she only wanted me to help her out. She started getting upset, but I guess she realized that it would get her nowhere, so she just told me that she actually did mean her apology and she wanted to make things right with me. But if I still did not want to testify for her, that was my decision and she would have to respect it. So then she left, but she made sure to leave the chocolate, flowers, and the note at my doorstep. I feel kind of bad, but this is for the best, I know that. I'm really hoping that it doesn't even come to a point where I have to testify for her and she gets bailed out by her lawyer without me. Because I'm still confused about what to do. Things are just really weird right now. Update 4. Hi. So Rachel was acquitted, thankfully. Her lawyer found it very easy to prove that she had nothing to do with any of the fraud and that it was completely on Leo, not her. I guess Leo had just figured out that it would be better for him to transfer some of the property to other people, like he had transferred the title of his new luxury car to his mother to shift suspicion and act like he had nothing to do with any of this. I don't know what exactly he was thinking, but he had used Rachel and I'm thankful that he broke up with me when he did, because otherwise, it could have just as easily been me in her place. I'm also thankful for the fact that it did not come to a situation where I had to be summoned in order to testify for or against anyone. I don't know what's going to happen with Leo. He's probably going to get convicted because all the evidence is stacked against him and his cousins are putting up a united front against him. One of them had even contacted me to ask me if I would be willing to testify against him if the time came, and I said yes, because I just want to see him suffer the consequences of his actions. But it hasn't come to that yet, so let's see how this unfolds. I'm just thankful that Rachel is not in trouble anymore, but that does not mean that everything is fine between us all of a sudden. She and I are still not on talking terms, but she has kept in touch with our aunt. I guess she needs somebody to be there for her since most of the family has been wary of her after all the posts that she had made against me. Everyone knew how much I had sacrificed for her and how much I had done for her, so her behavior has been very ungrateful and they did not even need to know what exactly happened to know that she was in the wrong. Anyway, I don't have a problem, even if people continue to speak to her. I just want to be happy with my life and I want the same for her as well. It's just that I don't want to be in touch with her right now. Maybe someday we will be able to fix the situation and go back to the way we used to be, but right now, this is just too recent for me to move on from. Here's to hoping that things will be fine one day again, but until then, I'm good on my own.